Hello, it's Saturday the 29th of April and here is your Birmingham News Weekend magazine. Because it's the weekend, I'm here with you for the next hour to take a look at what's going on around Birmingham, the West Midlands and beyond. Yes, welcome to the Birmingham News Weekend magazine, and it's another bank holiday weekend. So coming up on today's show, we'll be seeing what's up on this week's community notice board. Carl Jones will then bring us his weekend business update. We'll remind ourselves what's been going on around our area. Then later on, Carl will return with the film charts. Our intrepid reporters Steve Green and Jason Forrest will join us with some more interesting guests, and Norman Bartlam will tell us what's so special about this month. And Johnny Doom will of course share his pick of the gigs too, so it's all within the pages of the Weekend magazine. So then, time to turn to the community notice board. It's the news that you send to us. And of course, if there's something that we could mention, then do please get in touch, but give us plenty of notice. And we'll give you those all important contact details in a few minutes' time. Recently, Michael Summers got in touch with us to tell us that he works for an organisation based in Digbeth that supports people in Birmingham with mental health issues. The organisation is called Bitter Pathways, and they began as the Birmingham Industrial Therapy Association back in 1963. They're a registered charity. Now, they help people improve their confidence, aid their well-being and gain new skills, as well as giving them guidance and support with employment. Now, they've been running for 54 years and Michael tells us that they're passionate about a person-centred approach to overcome barriers and support people to achieve their goals. Now, they run one-day workshops in partnership with Birmingham Adult Education Service, which is open to anyone, mental health diagnosis or not. The workshops cover confidence building and employability skills such as how to effectively job search, team building, improving well-being, time management and a whole lot more. They also offer a central counselling service in the city, and the really useful thing is that there's no cost for any of it as they're fully funded by the NHS. So if any of this strikes a chord with you or perhaps someone you know, then here are those contact details. It's BITA Pathways or Bitter Pathways, and there's a website, social media and phone number. Now online they're at www.bitapathways.co.uk, it's all one word. Across social media you'll find them at BITA Pathways, and then the phone number is 0121 773 1455, 0121 773 1455. And big thanks to Michael Summers for bringing their work to our attention. Next, VL Moon has been in touch to tell us that on the 1st of July, a group of authors are attending an LGBT author event at the Holt Suite at Aston Villa Football Club. Now, the event is called Shimmer, with a special appearance by Mickey Taylor, as well as a host of fun panels, Q&A events, giveaways, competitions, raffle prizes, the proceeds of which will go to LGBT-nominated charities. There'll be over 30 attending authors, all of which write within the LGBT genre. So if you're interested, why not have a look at the website, which is www.shimmerauthorevent.com, and it takes place on the 1st of July at the Villa's Holt Suite. Now, a quick reminder that the West Midlands Young Arts Competition, run by the National Association of Decorative and Fine Arts, is underway. And the 14 finalists' work is being exhibited at the Royal Birmingham Society of Artists Gallery in Brook Street in Birmingham for 3 weeks from the 8th to the 27th of March. Now, the winners are going to be announced at a reception on Monday the 15th of May. And we're told that the work met A-level criteria and is of a very high standard. So if you'd like to find out more, have a look at the website, which is www.rbsa.org.uk. Now, next up is a shout out for ValeFest 2017. It's a student-run charity music festival taking place on the 3rd of June at the Vale Village in the University of Birmingham. There's a variety of music, art and activities even across several stages. So far they've raised over £150,000 for charity, pretty impressive. Now, they actually support different charities every year, and this year is Basic Needs and RSVP West Midlands. So if you want to find out more about that, you can get in touch with Tara Goatley, who's the chair of ValeFest, and you can email her via relations@valefest.co.uk, or just have a look at the website, which is www.valefest.co.uk. Now, the City of Wolverhampton Council has warned householders that they could land themselves with a court fine if they give their waste to scrap dealers without first checking if they're registered. Now, this warning comes after a man from the city was prosecuted after rubbish from his home, including bags of clothes, bedding and piles of letters, ended up being fly tipped after he paid 3 men who turned up on his doorstep to take it away. City of Wolverhampton Council is now reminding people of the steps that they need to take to ensure that waste is disposed of in accordance with the law. Now, this includes never agreeing right away to give waste to someone who cold calls or turns up on the doorstep. If this happens, then people are advised to politely decline and say they'll think about it and then get back to them after asking for the following information. And that is the full address and telephone number of the business and a copy of their waste carrier licence, which is issued by the Environment Agency. And then once people have this information, you can contact the council on 01902 55 1155. They'll run a check and they'll confirm whether the business is licensed. Nice and easy. Now, finally, if you like a bit of horror, then there's fun, fear and beer in the dark heart of Birmingham, as the Birmingham Horror Group is hosting its second mini-movie marathon on Saturday the 6th of May at the Gunmakers Arms in Bath Street. Now, as with the very successful event that was held in January, they'll be screening a wide variety of short horror films, many produced by movie makers right here in the Midlands. Admission is free, and if you'd like to find out more, then you can have a look at birmingham-horror.co.uk. There you go. So that's what we found pinned to this week's community notice board. If you know about something that we could be telling people about, why don't you get in touch? But do give us at least a week's notice, and you can talk to us in a number of ways. First up is the email address, which is news@madeinbirmingham.tv, or on social media you can look us up, send us a message at madeinbtv, or you can just use the hashtag Birmingham News. And we'll have more for you at the same time next week.
Joined by Paul Faulkner, Chief Executive of Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce, looking at some of the news headlines this week. Now, Paul, this is an interesting one. First, we had BMW staff at Coleshill striking over pensions. Now, staff at Fujitsu in Solihull have been taking action over their contracts and terms. What do you sense is the general mood among some of the bigger employers in the Birmingham area at the moment? Is there unrest? Is there unease?
No, I don't think there is. I mean, there's a couple of situations that have sort of been highlighted. Do sort of sit out there, but no, I think in the main, we see people focused on getting on with the task in hand. I think the market conditions aren't necessarily easy for anyone, but good businesses are thriving in the region and they're going from strength to strength. So I think people are a lot more focused on getting on with the day job. And trying to sort of drive and develop their businesses, and then individuals looking for ways to sort of the opportunities that are around and increasingly around here in the region, more than any sense of mass unrest.
Certainly the feedback we had when we carried the report about BMW striking over their final salary pension, some people say, well, aren't you lucky to have a final salary pension at the moment? So that's a fair point, isn't it? Because they are a dwindling breed, aren't they?
Yeah, completely. If you've got a final salary pension, then you are very, very lucky, aren't you? And I think that in the main people recognise and accept that. Obviously, every individual situation is unique and different, and and they'll sort of manage through that as best as the two sides can. But I think, in the whole, people recognise that the world certainly is changing and moving on, and everyone's having to adapt to that. And certainly as we move into a world where we're talking about the West Midlands Mayor and the West Midlands Combined Authority, I think we have to recognise that there's enough to go round for everybody, but we all do better if the whole region succeeds. So on the football pitch, as I well know, you can be rivals and you certainly want to beat your rival, but you need a rival. You want to play a rival. That's key. That gives you those special sort of days. And I think from a more general point of view, and certainly a business point of view, success is there to be celebrated. And what's good for Wolverhampton, it's going to be good for the West Midlands, and for those of us based over here, say in Birmingham, it's good for us as well.
And all of these thriving manufacturers need tier 1, 2, 3 suppliers, don't they? Which are going to come from the Greater West Midlands area.
Absolutely. So it's never just focused in one area. It's all about the bigger picture.
Paul, do you think with the announcement of the snap general election that there's a danger that the whole mayoral poll could be overshadowed?
I suppose there is a danger of that. I mean, the mayoral election's right upon us now. We know there's just under 2 million people who are eligible to vote, and turnout has always been something that everyone who cares about democracy in the region and sort of an effective devolution is really concerned about and wants to make sure that we drive it upwards. I think when a standalone election was held for the police and crime commissioner, it was about a 10% turnout. And what we definitely want to avoid for this is such a low turnout. We want whoever is elected to have a strong mandate, and so lots of different organisations, and our chamber included, are trying to encourage people that whoever you want to vote for on the 4th of May, go out and vote.
So then, time for a quick break. Carl will be back later on in the show to take a look at this week's new films as well as the film chart. Plus, we'll be hearing from our intrepid reporter, Steve Green. And as ever, we'll be catching up with what's been happening in our area during the past week or so. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show with me, Lee Bannister. Time now for a look back at some of the stories we've been covering on Birmingham News. And studies have revealed that cycling to work could reduce your chances of developing cancer and heart disease by almost half. The study, carried out by experts at the University of Glasgow, also found that you're 41% less likely to die prematurely if you cycle regularly. Well, the news comes amid plans to make roads in the city more bike-friendly, as Erin Wiggins reports.
Cycling has always been encouraged by the likes of environmental and health experts, but now a new study will give even more reason to grab your helmets and high-vis jackets. A 5-year study has revealed that cycling to work reduces the risk of developing cancer by 45%. That's something that cancer survivor Mike only knows too well.
So I was diagnosed with lymphoma, which is blood cancer, back in the year 2000. My chances weren't great at the time. And all the time I was going through treatment, I rode my bike. I started looking around at see if there was any science behind to see if it was causing myself damage or I was improving my chances. And what I found was a whole wealth of peer-reviewed research evidence to say that exercise and cancer, specifically cycling, is an excellent way of improving your outcome.
After his treatment, Mike decided in 2005 to start the national charity Cyclists Fighting Cancer. They give free bikes to children battling the illness in the hope that it will improve the chances of being cancer-free.
What we're hoping for is, by working with children, they'll take the message forward that exercise is good for you. It's good for you before you've had cancer. It's okay and good for you after you've had cancer, and then you're going to take that forward into the rest of your adult life.
CFC have also launched a 1 million mile bike ride where they are encouraging people to cycle miles that will contribute to 1 million by the end of this year. And if that can reduce the risk of cancer, then many will be wheeling away with joy.
Now, a Second World War veteran from Warsaw is appealing to other veterans across the country to take part in a funded visit to Normandy next month. The trip has been identified by Simeon Mayu as perhaps the last chance that many survivors of the Normandy landings will have to revisit the scene.
We are going back to Normandy to pay our respect to our comrades that we left behind, unfortunately, and who gave their all for where we are today. It's nice to go back there and take part in the celebrations of the freedom that the people enjoy through that sacrifice. We like to sort of carry on with the celebrations just to keep matters alive and make sure that we don't forget. As time goes on, this probably will be our very last opportunity with the veterans to make it.
And so if you or someone you know would be interested in the event, you can contact the Royal British Legion. Now, throughout the winter, Birmingham News spent time with various charities who were tackling the issue of homelessness on the city streets. Now, Randir Singh here, who founded the Midlands Langer Seva Society, has been recognised with a Pride of Birmingham Award for the charity's efforts across the country. Erin Wiggins spoke to Randir about the award.
You're an award winner. How does that feel?
Mate, absolutely humbled, speechless. 3.5 years ago when we started, never did we ever think that we'd be standing on a stage collecting an award for Pride of Birmingham.
How satisfying is it, you know, that your work is being recognised by receiving an award like the one you did?
Well, to be honest, it's satisfying because I know this will raise a lot of awareness, especially mental health. You know, I mean, you've seen what it's like in Birmingham City Centre yourself. You know, homeless people, loneliness people, people in our families, and so hopefully, you know, this will raise awareness, and these people on the streets won't be looked down at. You know, maybe people might take time out and talk to them, because sometimes these people don't have nobody to talk to.
Well, now a Birmingham-based bus driver has been nominated for an international award for preventing a robbery whilst he was on duty. Back in September, Mohammed Mahmood was driving the number 5 bus along Robin Hood Lane in Solihull when he noticed a man approaching a woman in her car. He told Birmingham News what happened next.
I heard that the woman is screaming, asking for help, so I realised something is happening there. So I stopped the bus, pretty neutral, opened my cab door and the door, went out to help the lady obviously, and yeah, I shouted at the man, the burglar basically, the robber, and he came out of the car and then ran off basically. I feel proud member of National Express as well. So I could have got injured for that. So yeah, but yes, we should take some kind of step if you see anything going wrong, so we should go and intervene it. Yes, I think it's really important.
2017 marks the 50th anniversary of the hospice movement, and Birmingham's St Mary's Hospice recently launched their Forget Me Not campaign. Hundreds of artificial flowers have been put on display in Birmingham city centre for people to pay tribute to loved ones who've passed on. Erin Wiggins has this report.
For anyone walking in and around Brindley Place, you may notice something slightly different about the scenery. 1,500 wrought iron flowers are on display as Birmingham's St Mary's Hospice has launched its Forget Me Not campaign, where people can secure a flower in celebration of loved ones who are no longer with us.
Anybody in Birmingham can buy one as a memory to somebody who they've lost. So it's not just for patients or families that have been known to the hospice, it's across all of Birmingham. So it's an opportunity to buy a flower and have it installed out in Brindley Place as a memory for their loved one.
A number of people who have benefited from St Mary's Hospice were at the launch in the Bank restaurant within Brindley Place, including the Shah family. Much-loved husband and father Dipek was a patient at the hospice after twice being diagnosed with cancer in 2013 and 2015. Dipek sadly passed away last year, and his family, who have planted one of the flowers in his memory, have taken comfort from the initiative.
And the support that we got from St Mary's, right from the point where it became terminal, was absolutely fantastic. And you know, we've always said that we wanted to give something back and also remember our father through it. So this Forget Me Not campaign has really been something which has touched our hearts.
Well, we would remember Dipek because he's always so close to St Mary's Hospice, and I'm sure if he was around he would have been really pleased to see that something has been planted in his memory.
With it being the 50-year anniversary of hospices, this is just another example of how vital they are.
Hospices are really, really important. I can't stress enough. We provide so much care and support to patients and their families throughout their journey. It's not just about death and dying, it's very much about support.
The flowers will be on display for the remainder of the week, as the hospice is hoping Brindley will be a place to celebrate and remember the ones we love who aren't here to see it.
Now, it's not every day entrepreneurs are given the opportunity to pitch in front of an audience of renowned business leaders, investors and royalty. His Royal Highness the Duke of York held the final of Pitch at Palace at St James's Palace in London, and one company from Birmingham was selected to pitch. Our reporter Olivia Marks went along.
Think pitching to a prince. Pitch at Palace is His Royal Highness the Duke of York's initiative, which provides support and training to entrepreneurs. And as the name suggests, the final event took place in a royal palace, St James's Palace in London. And one Brummie business was given the opportunity to win over an audience of high-profile business leaders, investors, and of course, His Royal Highness Prince Andrew.
I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, and shortly afterwards I quit my job with my wife to go travelling around the world, but really discovered the problems that people with disabilities face going away, and we've been enabling hundreds of people to go on holiday. The pitch was quite nerve-wracking, but I think once you're up there, all the practice and the nerves sort of fade away and you just really get into it.
A total of 12 entrepreneurs specialising in human technology hoped their 3-minute pitch would grant them the Royal Seal of Approval, having previously been selected at Pitch at Palace on Tour, which came to Birmingham back in February.
This country is very, very rich in entrepreneurial activity and entrepreneurs in itself. Yes, there's a large proportion of them go to London, but we heard very clearly that it's a lot more cost effective to be an entrepreneur in Birmingham than it is in London.
And although Limitless Travel didn't win, Angus was awarded second place for the People's Choice Awards on the night, reflecting Birmingham's innovative startup scene.
It's still good to get out there and spread the message about the wonderful businesses that exist in Birmingham and the West Midlands. I think a lot of the quality really lies in Birmingham, and with the amount of investment that's coming up to the Midlands, it's only going to get better.
The royal winner was Desolinator, a company which uses solar energy to solve the water crisis by purifying it. But competition was tough.
It's an extraordinary opportunity, and I love the way that it's very overwhelming and frightening to be here at the Palace in the first place, and then on top of that, the trumpeters.
The success of Limitless Travel is just one example of startups in Birmingham achieving great things. And in future, perhaps the Midlands could ease the spotlight off London, producing entrepreneurs who are next in line to the tech throne. Olivia Marks, Birmingham News, St James's Palace.
OK, time to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be hearing from our intrepid reporter Steve Green, and then Carl Jones will return with his weekend look at the silver screen. I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the programme with me, Lee Bannister. Carl Jones will be back again shortly for his regular weekend look at the silver screen. But now, over the past couple of weeks, Steve Green and Birmingham rock guitarist Joe Dempster have been discussing the vibrant local punk rock and heavy metal scene, as well as the horror movies which have influenced the music produced by Joe and his band, the Bloodthirsters. Well, in this final instalment, Steve and Joe discuss how mixing genres and musical styles can really strike a creative chord.
Effectively, what the Wicker Man did was it effectively spawned a subgenre of folk known as psychedelic folk, which was kind of taking the themes of folk music, but it was adding things like Hammond organ and different elements of music that you wouldn't generally expect to find in folk music, and it was adding an air of kind of almost like a progressive element to it, which from a musical perspective is quite fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about being quite fascinating in elements of music. I saw that you played on a rockabilly gig, or bill, not long back. And I thought rockabilly, horror punk, horror metal, it seemed a bit of an odd mix, but apparently there is a tradition for that as well.
Yes, well, there are kind of a few crossover genres between rockabilly and horror punk. For instance, there are two genres, horrorbilly, which is effectively a form of a form of rockabilly, which is closer to punk. Right. But it still keeps elements like the upright bass that you would find in rockabilly. And there's also psychobilly, which is kind of more towards the rockabilly end of the spectrum. But it also has elements of horror punk in.
Probably inspired by that film Psychomania.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's a whole variety of stuff. But you were telling me earlier that there is a big punk tradition, well, particularly for the sort of horror punk that you're involved with, across the channel over in Germany, for instance.
Yes, there are a huge amount of very talented horror punk bands in Germany, and especially within the continent. For instance, we did we did a gig with a band called Silk from the Corpse Bones, who were an excellent band. And what was very interesting is that although there were big metal influences, but there were also, you know, halfway through the gig, the guitarist pulled out a saxophone. so that was very interesting. But the thing is, punk, I've always seemed to be kind of a blank canvas. Whatever your influences are, whatever you want to put on it, you literally just paint over the top of it.
I think music is a medium that you can actually put almost anything into, as long as you do it with sincerity and heart.
Yes,
it will work. Well, hopefully, maybe it won't work, but at least you'll have made a conscious effort. I mean, one of the weirdest albums I ever bought some years ago was a collaboration between the Hilliard Ensemble, which is a group of medieval singers, and Jan Gabarek, who is a Czechoslovakian saxophonist.
Yes.
And you wouldn't think that would work at all, but he uses a saxophone as a voice, so that's again a weird collaboration between two different genres.
Well, absolutely, and I mean, this is really how music develops. Like, you take things that you don't think would work, but as long as, you know, people are actually trying it, and people roughly know what they're doing, pretty much anything can work. You can combine genres that you wouldn't think would go together. For instance, in previous projects, I've combined elements of funk with punk, which you wouldn't think would go together. I mean, you wouldn't think of James Brown, you know, with a anarchist's tattoo, with an A tattoo, you know.
No, the man was a king of style. He would never have a tattoo.
No, I don't think so.
You're about to go in with the band, the Bloodthirsters, into the studio to record your first album.
Yes.
Trepidation?
Not really. I mean, to be honest, you know, it's one of those things. The first time I ever went into a studio, I was very, very nervous because, especially as a guitarist, there's always a little bit of pressure to perform, especially if, you know, you're paying somebody to be in there. There's kind of the element that if you don't nail your parts reasonably quickly, you're wasting everyone's time and money. But we're looking to actually keep the recordings fairly DIY, and in a way that's good because it takes the pressure off. You know that if something isn't quite right, you redo it. You very much do it in your own time. You have a laugh, you have a couple of beers, and ultimately,
alcohol?
sometimes...
I can't believe that musicians actually drink alcohol during performances. Good Lord.
No, but it's kind of very important, you know, that there's no pressure, there's no huge expectation that anyone's going to get it right first time, or second time, or third time.
Well, I do hope the album gets it right for you first time.
Of course, yes.
I wish you very, very great success. Anyway, Joe, thank you very much for sparing time to come and see us.
Much appreciated, thank you.
And Steve will be back with another interesting guest next week. In the meantime, don't forget Johnny Doom will be joining us shortly with his weekly gig guide, as well as covering the heavy rock scene in his own show, Amped. But now it's time for some movie news, and fresh from his daily film slot in the Lowdown, it's back to Carl Jones.
Hi Lee, film news with a difference this week. We're here at the Light Cinema in Walsall, our spiritual home, but I'm joined by Mike Sales from Midlands Movies this week. Now Mike, tell us about Midlands Movies and a bit about you.
Oh, well, my name is Mike Sales. I'm the editor and owner, I guess, of Midlands Movies, and it was originally set up as a blog to cover local filmmakers, but it spiralled into a lot more of covering the whole of the region's kind of filmmaking community, from first-timers all the way up to people who have got slightly bigger budgets and are making their first features as well. We help promote, we help with crowdfunding opportunities, I guess, as well as throwing our own movie nights on just over in another city, over in Leicester. So yeah, we cover local filmmakers and people involved in the filmmaking community across the Midlands region.
And if you've seen any of the film news on the Lowdown the past week, you'll have seen some of the locally based productions that we've been talking about. Have a little look at this one. It's called The House of Screaming Death. This is Ian McNeice, who's a sort of link man between 4 or 5 different stories in a real Hammer House of Horror kind of tale. Take a look at this.
Enchanting, isn't it? Watching all these elements come together to form a liquid so exquisite. It's like casting a spell, playing with potions, practicing the dark arts, the very essence of witchery. And that very subject brings me to the next tale I wish to share with you, a tale of witchcraft, most foul.
So, Mike, the House of Screaming Death crew, you've got to know quite well, presumably.
Yeah, they've made a number of films before as well in the West Midlands here, and one of them was called Check-In In, which was a very similar type of anthology film, but it was set in a hotel. And what they did was that there were different stories happening in different rooms of the hotel. And again, it's a great way for local filmmakers to pool resources and actually get lots more people involved. Obviously, when budgets are limited, it can be quite difficult to get your feature film off the ground. So many people can combine to create a story based around one location, much like the House of Screaming Death is, and each individual filmmaker tell an individual story. So you get like 4 stories, 5 stories for the price of one as well.
And having the premiere of House of Screaming Death in a haunted house, so I'll look forward to seeing you there, so I'm not going on my own. So from a local movie, going forward to one of the big budget films, which is out this weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I don't know about you, I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
I think it's one of the better Marvel films, actually. It was a bit newer than some of the other ones that we may have heard of before, you know, growing up, Captain America, Thor as well. But yeah, it introduced a collection of ragtag heroes, I guess, or eventually become heroes, working as part of a team. It brought that kind of space part of the Marvel universe to the forefront as well, and so you can see how all this is going to link up. So it is kind of a standalone film at the moment, but as I know and I've read, that they're obviously going to be pulled into the next Avengers and working with other members in the
But it's
Marvel
also
universe.
characters that are not afraid of poking fun at themselves, which is what I really enjoy.
Yeah, it was clearly, I think, one of the funniest Marvels that have been out there as well, and you've got kind of the CGI characters of Rocket Raccoon and Groot as well, and obviously Groot in the trailer of this current one is
not quite as tall as he used to be.
He's a little bit smaller, right? Obviously if you've seen the first one you know how he ends up, and so we've got baby Groot coming in this second one. It looks very funny, so hopefully that will continue that kind of comedy element in Guardians film.
Now, anybody who wants to know a bit more about Midlands Movies, where do they find you?
If you go to the website, it's midlandsmovies.com, and on there you'll find information about all the latest projects and film makers that we cover. We also run a number of events across the East Midlands, and you can also contact us to submit your film, and we can obviously cover that either with a review or help kick it off with promoting and featuring your Kickstarter campaigns or looking for cast or crew.
You also run an awards competition, don't you?
We have, and for the first year was this year, around about when the Oscars were taking place. In fact, on the Oscars day, I kind of worked with a number of my other writers, and we created a panel of looking at all the Midlands films that were submitted to us in the last year, 12 months. So on the day of the Oscars, we made some decisions. We kept almost the same categories as the Oscars as well, to try and tie it up a little bit more. But that was to try and reward all the very talented and successful filmmakers that we get to see and we feel honoured to see, and hand a little bit of something back, because many of these filmmakers, like I said, are making short films. There's only so many festivals and award ceremonies out there, and we really wanted to maintain our focus on those that are local and working in the Midlands region.
I'm sensing a collaboration between the two of us for next year, even a season, who knows. Mike, thank you for joining us this week, and don't forget, if you are a local movie maker and you're involved in any kind of movie making project here in the West Midlands, send me an email, carl.jones@madeinbirmingham.tv, and I'll pass it on to Midlands Movies as well. That's it for now. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Carl, and of course he'll be back next week. Well, time for a break, but don't go anywhere, because we have an appointment with Jason in the Mill Bar, and then Norman also will be seeing what's so special about this week. I'll see you in a few minutes. Hello, welcome back to the final part of the programme with me, Lee Bannister. Time for a quick pick of the gigs now. Here's Johnny Doom.
Right, it's me, Johnny Doom, from your weekly rock show, Amped, on Made in Birmingham channel. You can see Tuesdays at 10, Wednesdays and Fridays 10:30. Anyway, here's my pick of the gigs. Black Spiders, I think they're splitting up soon, but doing 27th of April at Mama Rou's. Japan Droids, that's 28th of April at the O2 Institute. Maximo Park are back. Yeah, that's 5th of May, again at the O2 Institute. You can probably hear them right now singing Apply Some Pressure. Anyway, I'll see you next week.
And of course, Johnny will be back with Amped on Tuesdays at 10, and again on Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays at 10:30. Let's pop to the Mill Bar now with Jason Forrest. And the Mill Bar, it's that place where local performers can drop in and tell Jason all about what they're up to. And now the man who brought the West End success Warhorse to the world now has a family show that's touring the UK. And Jason caught up with two of the cast of Michael Morpurgo's Running Wild.
Michael Morpurgo's running Wilds at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 6th through to the 10th of June. I have two of kind of the stars of the show, actors, puppeteers. I'm not really sure what to describe them as. We have Romani Highton and Fred Davies. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So, first of all, Romani, tell us a bit about your role in the show, because you are half of Marnie, the orangutan.
Yes. So me and Fred, we're sort of side to side during the show, and I hold the head in one arm and Fred has the body in the other arm of the puppet. And Marnie, she's a beautiful big mum orangutan, very orange. And so she sort of follows Lily through the jungle and may or may not save her. And
So avoiding spoilers there, but it is very much a family show, and it's aimed at kids, but there is a very strong message, a very powerful message all the way throughout, and it's one that I think all the family will enjoy and really want to take part in listening to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the most lovely feedbacks we have from audience members, I think, that they come with their children to give their children a lovely afternoon, and then they are in tears at the end of it and think, oh wow, it was the most beautiful show. And that's really lovely, I think, that we can create a show that is available for all different types of audiences, which is really nice. And it does have, like you said, very important messages in it that are really relevant to today.
And Fred, being the other end of an orangutan, I mean, how does all this work? How did you make it happen? It must have taken a good while to get into character, as it were, in this role of puppeteering.
Yeah, it took about 3 months for me and Romina to kind of get that language that we have now with the puppet. We did a lot of research, looking at YouTube videos of orangutans, looking at their physicality, looking at their walking patterns, looking at their sounds. It was a lot of research, but I think what we've got now is a representation of an orangutan, how an orangutan would behave in its natural habitat.
Is this puppeteering something new to you guys and you were coming into this role, or is it something you'd both done before?
Yes, well, it was new to both of us, really, because this is the tour of Running Wild, but it started a couple of years back in 2015 with the Chichester Festival Youth Theatre, which we have both been part of for a long time. Yeah. And that's where we first started. We played Marnie, so Toby and Finn, who we worked with, who were the puppet directors, who were incredible, introduced us to puppetry, and we sort of fell in love with it since then. And then we're very, very lucky to be able to go with it to Regent's Park and now on tour. It's been really great, and it's the beginning of our professional career. So it's been all thanks to the Youth Theatre at Chichester.
And in itself, the amount of running around you guys do, it must keep the fitness levels up there. I mean, do you have to do any special prep for this, or what do you do to keep yourself in good shape?
We are literally all running wild backstage. I think we're all as a company are all in it completely together. Yes. I mean, and the whole cast is so lovely, and everyone backstage and the crew and the whole company is lovely. We have Michael, who's our dance captain, does lots of physical, energetic warm-ups with us, had different tricks and trades in the rehearsal room, like a bucket with a stick on it that you had to roll up with just your wrists, and that was how to strengthen our wrists and things, because puppetry is
it's
random
weird
muscles
that you don't use in normal life.
Yeah, you can't go to the gym and get ready for it. You have to pick up the puppet and do it again and again and again to build up funny muscles. Like, we've all got this funny puppet muscle on our hands that we're all like, oh, poke that.
No one's ever seen one of those before. Something that the size of the elephant in this piece, it's an absolutely amazing puppet. 4 people running that one, and 2 of you on the smaller creatures. So, I mean, the number of people involved in this on stage at any one time is amazing, but you just don't see the people, do you? You're pretty much invisible as you're doing your job in this, and that must be odd, being a performer, knowing people aren't looking at you.
It's quite nice, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. It's really nice.
It's relaxing. I mean, I don't want... If people look at me, we both look really stupid, pulling funny faces, making weird noises. Yeah. But, no, it is quite refreshing, actually. It's nice to sort of put all your energy into an object and bring it to life. It's quite beautiful.
And it's a massive compliment that we disappear, like you said, because that's our objective, is just to not be there, not be visible, but to be there at the same time. So to direct your attention to the animal we're bringing to life.
Are there any roles in this that you would like to have maybe taken over? I mean, would you rather be part of the elephant, or are you happy with your orangutan?
I love orangutans now. This show is really making me fall in love with them. But we did in Regent's Park. We both played baby orangutans. Yeah. So the character called Frank in there. There was 2 of those in the original. We had to make it a bit smaller and a bit shorter for the tour. But yeah, so we did have a chance to have a go at another puppet and play around, which was kind of fun, keeping it fresh. And we also have 2 swing puppeteers in this tour that are incredible, because they do a couple of shows as the head of Una, a couple of shows as the body of Una, a couple of shows as Marnie.
And a couple of shows as the ensemble as well.
Yeah.
So 4 different tracks to remember.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite nice. It keeps it fresh that, there's always new people on stage and you're interacting, and so each show is always different. And we've also got 3 lilies as well, the little girls, and they're all different in their own right. So yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're telling a story like this, very often kids shows, it's just about music, or everything is sung, and that must be demanding for the lilies in this, because they're actually doing it as a straight piece. It is very much a play, but one which is so engaging that it holds the audience. But do you ever get tempted to burst into song, or maybe dance around as an orangutan during this? Is it quite tempting to just put a few extra little bits in there that are not strictly in the script? Go on, that looks like a yes, but you're going to say no.
I'm going to put my hands up and say, yeah, I'd love Marnie to do some dancing on stage. That would be fantastic. I've been thinking for a while about where we can put it in, but it's not that kind of piece. Like you said, it is very much a straight play, which is also really nice that these girls have taken on that role, these little lilies, and completely made it their own. Each of them individually captivates the audience in a different way, and brings their own energy to the character, which is it's astounding when they're so young. They're so passionate about what they're doing that it just bursts out of them. It's great, but yeah.
And also it's lifelike. We're creating the animals to be lifelike.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times in rehearsals, Toby Oliver's like, "That's too Disney. Stop that. Don't do it like that." They got to really believe that these animals are in the wild and alive. So.
Well, I certainly think that comes across so well on stage. A really lovely piece, and great to know that you guys have come through and through working in a youth theatre to do this. And in fact, I mean, Fred, you're from I think Birmingham way, aren't you as well? So you're coming back to the Midlands, and does that mean you're going to be bringing several family members along to see you on stage for the first time, and then after the show go, no, we didn't even spot you were there?
Hopefully, yeah. I've got my family from Birmingham and some friends from Birmingham coming to see the show, which would be really nice. Hopefully they'll come and be like, where were you? I couldn't spot you.
Disappear into the background. Well, it's an amazing set, an amazing show, really brilliant work from you guys. Really enjoyed the whole production. If you want to see it, it's at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 6th through to the 10th of June. grandtheatre.co.uk is the website, or you can book tickets from the box office on 01902 429212. But thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. And we'll have more from the Milk Bar at the same time next week. Remember, it's also on the radio and it's podcasts. So if you want to find out more, have a look at www.themilkbarpodcast.com. Right, now let's take a quirky but interesting trip back in time with everyone's favourite historian. It's our very own Norman Bartlam.
This month in 1976, Beacon Radio began broadcasting in Wolverhampton. By the early 1980s, the mid-morning show was hosted by Andy Wint.
The promotions man at the time was a man called Peter Noyes Thomas. Said, well, do you think we should give something away that the audience will use? Well, they're housewives. So he said, well, we'll give away tea towels and aprons. Little did I know, 30 years later, I still know people who say, you know, we wipe the dishes with your face. So I'm very grateful. I'll take anything I can get. To be part of people's domestic life, even at this advanced stage, is a sheer delight.
And still today, Andy Wint is broadcasting on the Isle of Man, proving that he's a man with a perfect face for radio.
And if you'd like Norman to take a look at something interesting in history, why don't you get in touch? You can email news@madeinbirmingham.tv. So then, it's time to close the pages of the Birmingham News Weekend magazine for Saturday. I'll be here at the same time tomorrow though. And then there's more news for Birmingham and the West Midlands every weekday with me at 1, and then Mike is here at 6 and 9 in the evenings. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here at the same time tomorrow. Try a bit.